Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night to whoever you are and wherever you are. And today we're going to be talking about something that I haven't talked about in quite a while, and that's actually Luna Classic. Now, you guys know a couple months ago we talked about it a lot. We did mostly technical analysis and just followed the charts. We made a lot of money on the upside. We made even a lot of money on the downside, but we did take a bit of a break from it just because things started to slow down. And while there were other, better opportunities in the market, at least in my opinion. And now I told you guys there would be a day I would readdress it once I started to kind of see things changing and once I started to see the tide shifting, especially in crypto as a whole. And well, here we are. So I wanted to give you my opinion, especially on the topic and what you saw in the title on whether or not Luna Classic is dead. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about why are people saying that. Well, the main reason why people are saying that Luna Classic is dead is because of the fact that everything else is rallying and Luna Classic's really just not moving that much. Now, don't get me wrong, it has seen a pretty decent move from the bottom to where we are now, but realistically, in comparison to some of these other ones, it's not even comparable, right? And I think the issue is that a lot of people were expecting, when the market turns around, this thing is going to pump, it's going to go all the way back up, we're going to see a 4x, 5x, 6x, and they're being just a little bit kind of let down at this point by the overall price movement and the lack of excitement around the community. And so because of this, as the price hasn't really done much since then, a lot of people are then saying, well, is this thing dead? Will it ever go back up? Will it ever hit the $1 that all these influencers said it was going to hit? And I think they're starting to question that a lot. So overall, let's start off the video by answering the question in the title. Is Luna Classic dead or not? I'm going to go ahead and say yes and no. Now, I know this is going to ruffle some feathers. I really don't care. Let me just give you my opinion, and I think you'll probably agree with me in a few minutes here. So let's talk about why yes. Okay. In comparison to what we saw a couple months ago, when it was really rallying, everyone was excited, this thing was booming, the community was more positive than ever, that was like top tier excitement for Luna Classic. And in comparison to what we saw back then, yeah, it is dead. Well, in terms of hype, in terms of excitement, in terms of optimism, in terms of just overall general sentiment around the thing, yeah, it's not really even comparable to what it was before. Now, every crypto goes through this, right? We will see that pretty much throughout the entire blockchain. Every single crypto you will see has had a moment similar to that, and we're in a bear market. So it's not all that really surprising, right? But one thing that I have to say is that Luna Classic is now in a position where many new companies end up. And what I mean by that is I've done a lot of research and a lot of following, a lot of broadcasting and covering of new cryptos on my channel, right? And I've talked a lot about these ones that they first launched, there's that excitement. Boom. It doesn't matter what this thing is about. People just get excited because it's new, and new is always interesting to us, right? And what happens is that the price goes up and up and up and up and up because there's all that excitement. There's all this chaos that's happening, right? But that FOMO starts to kick in. Well, where could it go? And because of that, the hype starts. But something always happens where that hype starts to dwindle. Not as many people are watching the videos. Not as many people are in the Telegram. Not as many people are retweeting. And what happens is that is then in the discovery phase where people discover, what is this thing even really about? Are they going to produce some of the things that they say they will? Is the development team actually working on all of the products that they say they are? Is this thing going to produce utility as it once promised? And then once we enter into that discovery phase, that's usually when things die down. You see, that's whenever companies have to decide, this is the moment where we need to go full drive. We need to put all of our assets, all of our money and time and energy and team into making sure we develop utility and a reason for people to want to stay or to come back if they've left already. And so that's why you see like Ada Cardano, for example, even though it's one of the slower moving top 10s, it's always been there. Why? Because after the excitement in say 2017, 2018, when they first launched and they had their big crash down 99%, they just stayed developing and they stayed working and they stayed going forward to make sure that whenever things were, optimistic in the market, that people could see the value that they could possibly provide to crypto as a whole. And so because of that, while they were in their discovery phase, people started to come back to them. People started to invest into them. People started to get excited about them. And by the time that next bull market came, boom, that thing shot up to being, one of the biggest cryptos that we've ever seen. And so what you can see here is that Luna Classic could be in a very similar position. Yeah, it's dead right now, but it doesn't have to be like that forever. Now, one thing I will say is that it is a little bit hard to compare it to something like Ada Cardano because of just the genuine history of Luna Classic and Luna as a whole, right? I know people always say we're separated from Luna, the prior Luna, the previous Luna. We're Luna Classic, we're completely different, but there's always that stain. And you can lie to yourself all you want, there is always that stain, right? And whenever you have a stain, that just makes that process harder. Not impossible, but harder to recover from. You look at something like Solana. Solana has a big stain on it right now. It was connected to Alameda Research, had crazy VC funding, and everyone was kind of looking at it like, damn, this thing's gonna die. It's dead. It's not ever gonna come back. But you start to see that development start to happen. People still keep building on Solana. Some people are still excited about Solana. And although there is that massive stain that is preventing it from being where it could have been had none of this happened, it is still being capable of, growing and developing, because people are recognizing that what happened won't define the entire future for Solana, at least at this point. And so my overall given opinion about this is that it's not necessarily dead, but they have to continue to do things that are going to introduce new metrics that will help the overall utility and continue to work on the burn. And that is all that it matters. We are still seeing development and discussions on how they can, provide a big solution to this burn problem. And I just don't believe they found the right one yet. And I think that many other people are in a similar position as me and saying, well, once they figure that out, then I'll consider it. But at this given point, there are better opportunities in other cryptos that don't have big stains on them that could prevent them from seeing growth into the next bull market. And you're starting to see that get reflected in crypto as a whole. You're starting to see people investing into these other coins like Aptos, for example, or some of these smaller cap coins that necessarily aren't much fundamentally better than Luna Classic by any means, but they don't have these huge stains on them. They don't have all of this bad history and these things that they have to overcome. And now sometimes all of those bad times in the weathering can provide scarring and things that will help prevent bad stuff from happening in the future, and can be a good thing. And I'm not saying that it's not, but what I am saying is that in this given point in time, people are looking for other opportunities. It's the reason why these different Luna Classic YouTube channels aren't growing anymore. There's a reason why Luna Classic holder count's not really going up that much. There's a reason why the price isn't going up that much, because people see better opportunities in other places, but it doesn't mean that they will see that forever. And so at this given point, my opinion about it is that there is potential and there is still room for opportunity. All this bullshit you're seeing where it's like, it's going to go to $10, likelihood is it's probably not, right? Not this year, not next year, not the next year. $10? Are you crazy? Right? Like, it's just not going to happen. But these YouTubers understand that by them making those titles that they can keep getting views, because at this point, it's just a little bit harder to get views with talking about a crypto that's just not bringing the opportunity that it was before. So what I would say is that if you're a Luna Classic fan, holder, investor, anything like that, what you need to be paying the most amount of attention to is, are they solving the problems that they need to solve? Are they bringing on more utility? Is development increasing on chain? And if that is the case, and that's the answer is yes, then I would say that no, it's not dead. And there is a possible route of opportunity. Do I believe that there's probably bigger opportunities for the next bull run elsewhere? Yeah, I genuinely do, because again, they don't have those stains. But it doesn't mean that this thing is not going to go anywhere or have any opportunity or any future or any potential for growth, because I do believe that it has a great community. I believe there are a lot of people who support it and a lot of people who want to see it win. But at the end of the day, although that all sounds great, if it's incapable of providing the things that it needs to and resolving these problems that need to be resolved, it's simply not going to be able to move like a lot of people think it will. And so what I would say to you is that I definitely would consider options in other places. You don't have to marry these cryptos. You don't have to, have 100% of your holding in Luna Classic just because you love it, just because you're down a little bit. It is okay to take 20%, take 25%, and go invest that into other cryptos. I'm sure there's a Luna Classic fan who would love for you to sell some of yours to them so they can buy more at lower prices. And although that sounds good, what I would go ahead and say is that, yeah, there may be better opportunities in other places, and it doesn't make you a Luna bear, or it doesn't make you a Luna hater, or anything of that nature to admit that, because anybody who looks at this from a logistical perspective would agree with you. And so at the end of the day, yes, I do believe it could be dead right now in terms of excitement and hype, but I don't believe it has to be that way for the future. But the only way that they escape this is continued development on chain and resolving these problems. And so at that point, then people will get more optimistic and people will start buying it like they're buying all of these other cryptos right now. And then it could be in a great position to finally see some growth, but I don't see that happening until some real on-chain development does happen. So overall, I would love to hear your opinions down in the comment section below. What are you the most excited about and what are you the least excited about? Are you selling it? Are you buying it? What are you doing? My personal take on it, I'm not buying anymore right now. I do have a little bit of a holding in it, but I don't see a reason as to why I should accumulate even more right now. But I would love to hear what your game plan is for it. And again, leave that in the comment section below. Now, again, my goal here was not to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to upset anyone, but that's just my realistic outlook on this thing. I've been in this market for about 5 years now. I've seen things like this happen before. Some of them go good, some of them don't. And I just want to help guide you through that as much as possible. So with that said, again, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace.